Welcome back to the Ancestral Findings podcast. When you first start researching your family, it is easy to believe every question has a record waiting somewhere. A birth certificate, a marriage entry, a census line, a grave marker, a neat little document that answers what you want to know and lets you move on. Then, sooner or later, you run into the place where the paper trail stops. The courthouse burned, the church book vanished, the county did not keep records yet. A person lived in the gap between two jurisdictions and left almost no footprint. In that moment, genealogy changes. It stops being a hunt for one perfect document and becomes the slower work of building a case from whatever survives. The first thing to do when there are no records is to get very specific about what no records means. Many times, the records are not truly gone. They may exist under a different county name because the borders changed. They may be filed in a parent county, a neighboring county, or at the state level. They may sit in an archive on microfilm, never digitized, never indexed, and therefore easy to miss if you only search online databases. They may be present, but poorly indexed, misspelled, or misread by the clerk who wrote them down. So before you accept a dead end, you narrow the question, you name the exact place, the exact years, and the exact record type you expected to find. That turns a vague frustration into a problem you can test. Once you know what you're missing, the next move is to build a timeline from what you already have, even if it feels thin. A timeline is not just a list of dates, it is a way to see the shape of a life. Where was this person in 1850? Where were they in 1860? Where were their children born? Who appears beside them in the census? Who witnesses their deeds? Who signs bonds? Who buys land next to them? Even one small fact, placed in the right order, can point you to the next source. In record-poor situations, time and place details matter more than ever because they help you separate one person from another when names repeat across generations. This is also where many researchers make a useful shift. Instead of searching only for the person, you search for the community around the person. Families did not live as isolated dots on a map. They lived near people they married, worked with, worshipped with, served with, and trusted enough to witness documents. If your target person disappears, their circle often keeps showing up. Neighbors move together. Brothers-in-law appear as witnesses. A church group relocates to a new county. A set of families purchases land along the same creek. When direct records fail, these patterns can guide you like road signs. You do not need to research everyone forever. You only need to follow the closest associates far enough to learn where they came from and where they went. In many places, the best substitutes for missing vital records are land, tax, and court materials. A deed can mention a spouse, name heirs, describe earlier residency, or connect families through adjoining property. Tax lists can function like an annual census and show when a man first appears, when he disappears, and when property changes, suggest inheritance or a sale before a move. Court minutes can look chaotic, but they can contain the very clue you need: road orders, jury service, guardianships, apprenticeships, lawsuits, estate settlements, and name after name in the same cluster. These sources are not glamorous, but they often carry the weight of proof when births and marriages are missing. Another key step is learning to think in jurisdictions rather than modern place names. A person can live on the same farm their whole life and still show up under different county headings as boundaries shift. The county that exists today may not have existed when your ancestor lived there. The records might be housed in a different county seat, or they might be under the earlier parent county. That is why boundary history is not trivia. It is a map of where the paperwork would have gone. When you study that history, your search stops being random, and you stop wasting time looking in the wrong container. Names are another trap in no records problems. Even when records exist, strict spelling can make them appear invisible. Clerks wrote what they heard. People used nicknames, initials, middle names, or a second given name. Letters get misread, especially in indexes. So when you search, you loosen the grip. You search by surname only in a narrow place. You search by first name and age range. You search for associates instead of the target person. You search for the widow, the adult children, the brother-in-law, the neighbor 2 houses away. Often, the quickest way to find one missing person is to find the right nearby person and then work sideways. At some point, you will also run into the idea of negative evidence, which is a fancy way of saying that an absence can matter. If a man appears on tax lists year after year and then disappears right when a similarly named man appears in the next county, that is not proof by itself, but it is a clue. If an estate names all heirs and your person is not listed, that absence might be meaningful if the record set is complete enough that they should have been included. The danger is using absence as certainty when the record set is incomplete. The safest way is to treat negative evidence as one piece among many, and only give it weight after you have shown the records are reasonably complete for that time and place. When paper is thin, children often become the breadcrumb trail. A child's birthplace across multiple censuses can outline a migration path. A child's marriage record may name parents. A death record might provide parents' names, even if the informant made mistakes. Obituaries can mention siblings and former residences. Church baptism entries might survive even when civil births do not. None of this is perfect, and some of it is wrong, but it can still narrow your search and point you toward better sources. In recent decades, DNA has become a kind of record substitute when paperwork fails. DNA does not hand you names like a document does, and it does not replace careful research, but it can reveal networks of cousins that paper alone cannot confirm. When several matches connect back to the same ancestral couple, and those matches also share a geographic and community pattern that fits your case, you gain a powerful line of evidence. DNA is strongest when it is paired with traditional research because DNA tells you who is connected, while records and local history help explain how. That last point is bigger than it sounds. Local history becomes more than background when records disappear. Migration routes, land openings, wars, new roads, church splits, and economic shifts all influence where people went and why. If you learn what pulled families into a region and what pushed them out, you can make smarter predictions about where to look next. In difficult cases, context is not decoration. It is a tool that turns a wide search into a focused one. The final step, and the one that separates solid work from wishful thinking, is writing your reasoning down as a proof argument. Not a formal report with fancy language, just a clear statement of the question, the facts you know, the sources you used, the possible explanations, and why the evidence supports one answer better than the others. Writing forces you to face weak spots. It also keeps you honest because you can see where you are guessing and where you are supported by evidence. Sometimes, the best conclusion you can reach is probable, and that is not a failure. It is reality. The job is to build the strongest case the surviving evidence allows, label it accurately, and keep the door open for new evidence later. When there are no records, it does not mean there is nothing to learn. It means you change methods. You trade the hope of a single perfect document for a patient stack of smaller clues that agree with each other. You stop searching only for a person and start searching for the group around them. You follow land, tax, court, church, and community patterns. You use jurisdiction history to find the right archive. You keep a research log so you do not chase the same dead ends twice. Then you pull it all into a clear, written case. That kind of work is slower. It can also be the most rewarding because you are not just collecting names and dates. You are rebuilding a life from the traces it left behind and learning to think like the world your ancestor lived in, where paper was never the main point and survival mattered more than documentation. If you've got a hard-to-find ancestor you're stuck on, I'd love to hear about it. Just head over to ancestralfindings.com and click on Contact to send me a message. While you're there, take advantage of our free weekly genealogy lookups. Explore thousands of articles and enjoy hundreds of podcast episodes. We've been helping family history researchers since 1995. And if you're looking for even more, check out our Genealogy Gold Q&A series over on Patreon. Thanks for listening, and as always, happy searching.